The Nandrogen white paper is now up on the oralonly.com website, and you can read all of the main points. And I'm going to go over a bunch of them because in the comments, I see people asking questions, and the white paper is where I want everybody to go get their answers from, because what we don't want to do is make casual commentary, which might leave something out or not describe it absolutely perfectly, because hey, this is a pharmaceutical. Like, you really want to know what you're doing and you want to have all of your questions answered. Hi, my name is Jaquish. I'm a doctor of biomedical engineering, which makes me a unique individual that comments on a lot of things: human physiology, exercise science, sometimes pharmaceutical related if it happens to be in one of the areas that I speak on. Anabolic hormones is one of the areas that I speak on. And so what I want to do today is announce that the Nandrogen white paper is now up on the oralonly.com website, and you can read all of the main points. And I'm going to go over a bunch of them because in the comments, I see people asking questions, and the questions weren't answered on the website because we wanted to make sure it was done in the proper scientific documentation type way. So the white paper is where I want everybody to go get their answers from, because what we don't want to do is make casual commentary, which might leave something out or not describe it absolutely perfectly. So everything's got to go back to that one correct source, which is detailed enough to give a very accurate picture. Because hey, this is a pharmaceutical. Like, you really want to know what you're doing and you want to have all of your questions answered. You also want to be in touch with a physician. So when you go to Oral Only and sign up, they connect you with a physician that is going to monitor your progress, your gains, and look at your blood work throughout the entire experience. What are some of the topics that we cover in the white paper? So first is like just a general of like what we're looking at here: fast-acting testosterone. What's the reason for it? You'll see people talk about microdosing their TRT injections. That's really a silly idea, because when you take testosterone enanthate or cypionate, which is basically the only two things that get prescribed to people for injectable testosterone therapy, those are long-acting testosterone chemicals. Like the attachment to the molecule, the ester, either enanthate or cypionate, makes sure that the testosterone lasts in your body in proportion up to 10 days. Sometimes it says 12 days, sometimes it says 14, but write it right in there. There's definitely, you can still see exogenous hormone in the body, exogenous testosterone, 14 days, above normal. So if you take it every day, but it lasts 14 days, are you getting any benefit from microdosing it? Maybe a little, just so, because if you took one big shot in a week, you'd have it go up and then go down. But even the variability within the week, I put it in the graphic that's on the first page of the white paper, and you can give that a serious look. You'll see that beginning of the week with one shot and end of the week with one shot for regular TRT, it's not that different. Just because within 7 days, it's certainly less than 10. So you're still going to have a high androgen level, but it's long acting. So what you do not want is high testosterone in the evening, or in the afternoon, evening, and at night. You only want high testosterone in the morning. So when you look at that graphic, really study that graphic. With Nandrogen, spikes in the morning, drops off later in the day. The body really doesn't respond with the type of side effects. If there is an effect, I'll go over each one of them individually. So like, for example, one of the first things we talk about is the durability of clinical response. So over an extended period of time, you don't see a collection of side effects that get worse and worse and worse, like SHBG going up, which over weeks and weeks gets worse and worse and worse with standard TRT dosages. Basically, the way you should see this is the testosterone is having a profound effect on you in the saturation of receptor sites let's say you get up at 8 a.m., 7:30, you squirt it under your tongue at 8 a.m., you have really high testosterone from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So for about 2 hours. Then it begins to significantly drop off and also does not suppress your natural testosterone function, your natural testicular function. Like, so you don't have testicular shrinkage, you don't become infertile, and I'll get to that as I go down this document. So hematocrit is another thing that goes up when you're on standard testosterone replacement therapy, or if somebody's using a cycle of anabolics or something like that. What that is the blood gets thick, and that can be a pretty significant problem. And so you'll see guys who are on TRT, they have to give blood every so often. So their body's continually renewing the blood supply to keep the blood from becoming too thick. I never had that side effect. I never used enough anabolics, beyond the sort of lower end of the TRT spectrum. So I never had that problem. But now I know I'll never have it, because when you use fast-acting testosterone, if you have a hematocrit response at all, it's typically within the normal range. So if you're one of those people that you don't want to worry about that side effect, it looks like you're not going to need to worry about that side effect. So that's great news. Less conversion to DHT. So if you're trying to keep your hairline, which I didn't, this is micropigmentation, by the way. So when you're trying to keep your hairline, injectable testosterone really sucks. So like, I was already like losing my hair in my late 20s, and I got an early prescription to testosterone replacement therapy because I had a severely damaged testicle because of a rugby hit, and the other one was damaged. So I guess I had two damage, and one had to be just cut out of me. That did not tickle, in case you're wondering. It really hurt. And that's why I got the prescription so young. But then I had not all the side effects. Like I said, I didn't have the hematocrit, but I had the DHT problem, and it caused my hair to go very quickly. Not a problem for people who don't go down the injectable path and instead use Nandrogen. Prostate, that's another question. There does not seem to be any response with fast-acting testosterone, or maybe only, it says, maybe only a modest response when it comes to the prostate. Now, I think prostate concerns with testosterone replacement therapy have been overblown, because I see that coming up, and I see that in the comments, yet when you do a literature search, you don't find people who have been on TRT who like had anything other than a temporary enlargement of the prostate. Still something that contributes to prostate cancer, at least just in a correlation perspective. And what I mean by correlation, imagine if every time you have a burger, there's a car crash outside. That's a weird coincidence. Some people would say burgers cause car crashes. That's an example of correlation, not causation. So if two things happen at the same time, it doesn't mean one caused the other. And so I think like a lot of time, like guys get older, they have an enlarged prostate, if they happen to be on TRT, maybe they just blame the testosterone, while almost everybody their age is having similar problems. So keep that in mind. And like I said, the literature really doesn't support the idea that TRT is damaging to the prostate, but rest assured, this version, very little effect. Preservation of the HPG axis. This really means that from a testicular perspective, from all of your endocrine system, like what gets disrupted? And the answer is either nothing or very little changes when you go through this, even after you've been using fast-acting testosterone for months on end. Here, I'm just going to read it to you. Fast-acting testosterone preserves HPG axis function to a substantially greater degree than long-acting injectable TRT. Very important. Here's a question about fertility, because we had this question a lot. Like a lot of guys want TRT, but they don't know if they're ever going to have a kid or not, and they don't want to like cut that out, because they might meet the woman of their dreams, as I did, and decide, whether or not you're going to have kids. You definitely want that option. So the fertility preservation. Now remember, I've said in other videos, this doesn't shut you down. Does that mean there's no change? I don't think it means there's no change, but let me just read you right from the document. Fast-acting testosterone offers superior preservation of spermatogenesis compared with conventional TRT, though fertility cannot be guaranteed. And I think that's mostly there because you can misuse fast-acting testosterone and use it later in the day, and that will end up shutting you down. So don't do that. Like if you get hungover and you wake up at 2 in the afternoon, just don't do your testosterone that day. Don't think you're gonna just, I'll stay up late tonight, or you screwed up the circadian rhythm. Just skip it for the day. It's not like you were gonna train that day anyway. And if you were gonna train that day, then you really need to rethink your life, because don't be hungover, don't train hungover. I don't know, I could go down a list of 4 choices that were made. Let me continue here. SHBG and free testosterone preservation. Fast-acting testosterone may preserve free testosterone availability by reducing SHBG-mediated sequestration. That's a great word. Wonder why they use that word. Again, SHBG is, if anything, driven down, which makes you more anabolic, not less. Whereas regular TRT makes you less anabolic over time because SHBG is going up and more testosterone is basically being arrested or grabbed a hold of by the sex hormone binding globulin. And when it binds, it makes the testosterone inert or worthless. There's also a chart here which talks about different things that are associated with TRT and how this version of testosterone corresponds and deals with those things. So, and then it has the clinical reference on the far column. So I encourage everybody to look at that table. I think this is I chose to arrange it this way, and I love it because instead of just having a list of references and you're not really sure which reference connects to which issue, I want to be as transparent as possible and have everybody see this is the study that found this one thing about fast-acting testosterone. I'm gonna go read that study. Because if that's like the one thing you're concerned about, get all the information. And just because I have a PhD doesn't mean I'm right all the time. Fact check me. And that's part of the reason why this document exists. Like, there is a paper trail, and I made it more like a paper freeway, so everybody can go exactly where they need to go and find the right answer. That's super important. I mean, this is a medication, so time to take it seriously and really do your homework. And when you do that, you're going to know you're doing the right thing. So I encourage everybody, like, even if I said it and you think that's good enough for me, read the study anyway, because that way you've seen it. And I think that's pretty much it. I encourage everybody to go to oralonly.com and read this white paper. It is, I think, an absolute masterpiece, and it will absolutely change testosterone replacement therapy all the way into the future. I think this is the absolute greatest thing to ever happen to hormone therapy. Ask questions in the comments, and I will see you on the next one.
If this video helped you, I want you to subscribe and follow. I'm going to put out videos on a regular basis. I think they're going to help a whole lot of people, especially if you're one of those people that doesn't just instantly grow from lifting regular weights. We've got the answer for you.